Hello and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Tuesday, the 25th of July. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that's close to my heart and is very important to me and which I'm really kind of disappointed in today. It's about country music. Over the weekend, over the last week, there has been some controversy over Jason Aldean's new song and video, in particular video, Try That in a Small Town. And many political people on the far right, on the conservative side, have really come down in favor of this and supporting him and what he's saying and saying it's about time and this is appropriate and this is important. Other people, not so far right, people on the left, so to speak, are suggesting that his video is inappropriate, that it condones and actually sort of highlights the importance of violence and really shines a negative light on some of the movements that have been happening, but also in particular, really sort of emphasizing that there is a group of people for whom that kind of violence, he's portraying one kind of violence as being wrong in saying that this is what happens in the big cities. I have watched the video and I have listened to the song, the lyrics. But I came away from the video from watching this was that what he's showing are riots that became violent and people looting and doing things like that happened because of things that are happening in the United States and indeed some things that are happening elsewhere. Canada is not unknown to riots. We did have a season in our lives not very long ago when the city of Ottawa was besieged by people who were protesting and then were there unlawfully, and then at the end the police were needed to come in and to control the crowd. I don't believe anyone was killed. A few people were hurt, and that is obviously unfortunate. And I would not ever suggest that the way we handled it was the right way to do it. However, the best thing would happen if there would not be an occasion for that to happen. But in the video, it shows images of people attacking the police, of people looting, of people being stomped on, and generally horrible discord. But the words are talking about try that in a small town. You come on down to our small town and you try that kind of thing and look what'll happen. We take care of our own. Now, there are some people who are going to say, that's just, we're just law-abiding citizens. We're not going to do anything. But there are people who are interpreting that as the image that you're presenting and the things you're talking about, they're hearkening back to a time not all that long ago when lynchings happened, when it was appropriate that people thought the police in a small town could just take care of business, when not even the police, but the average person, we all just come together and we take care of our own in a small town. Well, I'm sorry, but that's so not right. It certainly isn't Christian. It certainly isn't biblical. But also it is not indicative of small town people. I have lived in some cities, but I've also lived in several small towns in my life. I live in one now. I work in three. And I got to tell you, yes, we have our racism, and yes, we have our problems. But for the most part, these three communities in which I serve are filled with incredible people who really do see that somebody else is hurting and they want to help. They see that there's a problem, and their way of going about fixing it isn't to say we're going to gather the troops and we're all going to get together. We're going to take care of that problem. The way we deal with things is we talk to each other. We have town council meetings. We figure out how we can best solve the problem as it is presented. And we show the world that in small towns can be harmony and peace, that we can uphold one another and we can love one another, whether we're Christian or not. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. And that is not the tenor that this song is giving. I love country music. I have loved country music since I was 12 years old. It, for the most part, speaks my story. There's always a song out there that resonates with me, that I can sing and I can listen to and I can watch the video for. I can just put it on the background and it speaks to my heart. It reminds me of good values. It reminds me of family and friends and the importance of God. It reminds me of what I'm called to be and do as a human being, as a citizen of my country. And I'm not saying that other music doesn't do that. It's just country music is my thing. But I have seen in the last several years some real splits, some real hard right turns in country music, and it scares me. The push for women to be like for a long time, women, Reba McEntire, like Carrie Underwood, like there were lots of women who were in music who were doing a great job, and now it feels like women have to fight to get heard. And there is a right wing push from some parts of the mostly male country singers that we're hearing, and it's really, I love patriotism. Some of those songs are incredibly patriotic, and they remind me of the gift God has given me. Now, they're patriotic to the States because there aren't a lot of Canadian country singers that get a lot of airplay that talk about Canada. Paul Brandt is one of them, and if you haven't heard of Paul Brandt, look him up. He's got some really incredible music. But patriotism, in its best sense, can lead us to treating each other well and recognizing the value of every citizen. But seems lately that we're running into a whole shift where people who don't look like me, and whoever me might be, they're wrong. BIPOC, people who are Black, Indigenous, or people who are of color, people who are struggling to find their fair share, whether it's the Supreme Court or the Superior. I can't call the Supreme Court of Canada. I can't remember what it's called in the States, but the SCOTUS. The decisions that are being made that seem to be saying it's okay to put down the other. We're getting rid of affirmative action so we can make an even playing field. Well, it's only an even playing field if it starts out that way. And it's not. Because there are still people who think that if you're Black, you don't belong here. Which is not an even playing field. So removing those things that help to level the playing field isn't going to make it better, regardless of what these brilliant scholars think. When we talk about Canada has done such a good piece of work, and I know we've got a long, long way to go, but we have been recognizing for years the importance of acknowledging our Indigenous siblings, of what we did as a country, the decisions that were made intentionally to try to eliminate the Indian problem. And we have come so far. And yes, I know we have so much farther to go, but we have come so far. And then to look down below the border and see that people are being told that no, they're going to make it more difficult for you to vote, or we're not going to talk about certain things because that would just be wrong, because that would be discriminatory, because we're talking about one group of people versus the other, when the reason we're talking about something is because it has been discriminatory in the first place. Something like this song by Jason Aldean, it feels to me like it's a flame to kindling. It just feels like it's a spark that's going to blow something up really, really big. And that terrifies me, because not only do we not need more divisions in our society, both above and below the border, around the world, we're seeing them all around the world. We need to come together, not to be split apart. And although, he may be saying that that's not what this is saying, we're not talking about these things. Anytime you're involved in anything like that, like this, like writing a book, write music, poetry, whatever you say that gets put out into the public sphere, what you have said, it might change. Your intention may be one thing, but people will do with it what they choose. And my fear is that even if Jason Aldean had the best of intentions when he produced this video, that what's going to happen is the political ramifications of people jumping on board and saying, this is what it's about. We need to be anti-woke. We need to bury the woke. This isn't about being woke, and that video is not woke. This video is not about equality. It is not about acknowledging that the person you have a beef with has a right to have a beef with you, but that there are better ways to deal with it. No, come try that in a small town and see how we take care of it. Well, you know what? I invite you to come to my small town and see how we take care of things. Because we up here, where I am, we may not like each other all the time, and we may not agree on politics ever, but we're not hurting one another, and we're not trying to hurt one another, and we're not tearing each other down to build ourselves up. We're just trying to figure out how we do this try to live like human beings with dignity and respect here in a small town. I think we need to be aware of the messages that we're sending. And our society, our whole world right now, between Ukraine and Russia and protests in France and what's happening in Italy and in the States and in Canada, everywhere in the world, China, North Korea, we need to be building each other up, not tearing each other down. And this video feels a whole lot like we're lighting a match to a tinderbox, and it's all going to come down. It's all going to go up in flames. Those are just my thoughts. That's how I'm feeling, and I'm feeling really disappointed in the country music scene. Because for me, for the last 40 years, 40 years, country music has lifted me up. And now I'm starting to feel like it's something I don't want anything to do with it anymore. Because it does not speak my story any longer. At least some of the musicians don't. What do you think about your small town? And what do you think the role of a real good small town really is? Let me know. Have a great day. God bless. And I will see you on Wednesday, tomorrow, for Church at Home with Rachel.